Hi everyone, back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with the first match preview of the coming Premier League season. I'll be honest with you, I'm really glad to be talking about match previews as opposed to being disappointed with transfer activity with Newcastle United. So we're getting back to the business, back to the Premier League. It's a big season for Newcastle. We need to aim to get back into the top four, in my opinion. We're going to take you through how we think the team is going to line up, talk a little bit about the opponents. There's nothing really in the way of team news at the minute from the opposition as I'm sitting here recording this on a Thursday to go out Friday morning. I'm sure that'll all come to light pretty soon. But there is some possible banana skins and headlines waiting to happen in amongst the Southampton lineup. So we'll get stuck into this in a minute. Just before we do, a little reminder, if you haven't already, smash subscribe. I'd love you to come and join us. We're over 8,300 subs now. Hopefully going to push towards that 9K mark soon enough with help from you guys. If you recommend us to family and friends, you won't regret it. We'll give you every Newcastle United content we possibly can, transfers whenever they do happen, stat comparisons, previews, post-match analysis, and obviously the odd rant from me when something winds me up. So click that button, guys. You won't regret it. And if you want to be a member, there is an option down there too. It's less than £2 a month, and you'll be getting early access to the videos this season. We will be giving more giveaways to members this season too, so well worth it for a little bit of Newcastle United memorabilia. So let's get stuck in then. As we say, Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff. What a great way to start the season. St James's Park will be packed. The feeling of expectation will be in the air. There is tinged with a little bit of disappointment in terms of the lack of transfer activities. I suppose the good thing is we've kept a hold of all of our big guns despite all of the mischief making behind the scenes. Alexander Isak, Anthony Gordon, certainly Bruno Guimaraes, these kind of players that everybody thought we were going to lose this summer. We retained them, we've kept them. Joe Linton's back fit, looking incredible, signed a new contract. Harvey Barnes is hopefully looking to stay fit this season as well. We've looked sharp in pre-season, so I'm feeling confident going into this game, despite the transfer lack of activity going on behind the scenes. So let's get stuck in then to the very first lineup of the season. This is how I think we are going to line up, and we might as well just pause for a moment here and look at the man who's between the posts for us, Nick Pope. My God, did we miss him last season? I honestly do think had Nick Pope and Joe Linton both been fit more last season, we probably would have finished top four, and nobody would be talking about the disappointment because we probably would have been looking forward to Champions League and maybe signing the kind of caliber of players that we want to sign to improve this squad, who are maybe going to other teams. So having Nick Pope back is massive. He had 2 huge injuries last season. I'm not entirely sure about the deputies that were signed in Vlachodimos and John Ruddy. You know, Dubravka's still at the football club. I think he'll probably go before the window closes because we can't have 4 goalkeepers. But Nick Pope back fit is incredible for Newcastle. He's already pulled off some belter saves in pre-season, and we'll hope he can stay fit for the majority of the season because he is huge for this football club getting to where it needs to be this season. So for the back 4, this could easily be Trippier at right back, but we've gone for Tino Livramento. The main reason is I think Trips will be gone as well. I love Trips, and I think he's been an incredible player for Newcastle United, but I think they'll shift them on to get his wages off the book to maybe bring in some players. I think he'll be a casualty of that. You know, he's getting what, 33, 34 now. You know, we saw last season he struggled a bit for pace against quick players. That's something Tino does not struggle for. And this is Tino against his old club as well. So he'll have added incentive to play well, and hopefully that's what he'll do. In the back line, we've gone for Fabian Schär and Dan Burn. I don't think Lloyd Kelly will get the start, although he's looked good in pre-season. Pings a lovely pass out wide, I must say, does Lloyd Kelly. But I think you'll go with Dan Burn, Eddie Howe, because it's tried and tested as one of his trusted left tenants. I think you will stick with Dan Burn. And we've gone with Lewis Hall at left back. I will go fucking mad if I see Dan Burn at left back and Lloyd Kelly at left centre back. There's no reason for it whatsoever. Lewis Hall finished the season so strong, and he's looked so good in pre-season, Eddie. Don't do it. Play Lewis Hall at left back because I think he's going to have a great season. He's my one to watch this season, Lewis Hall. I think he's going to be incredible for Newcastle this season. He's going to get in that England team as well and probably stay there because there's no other left backs really coming through, certainly with a left peg like this kid's got. And I think he's going to be brilliant for Newcastle this season. The midfield 3, this could easily be Joe Willock, but I think, again, Eddie will go with his tried and tested Sean Longstaff in midfield. Now, Sean banged a couple of goals in. It's quite funny, everyone. I think I heard Alex from True Faith said it's quite coincidental that Sean Longstaff suddenly rediscovered his scoring boots as Tonali's on the way back. He'll be back in a couple of weeks with Sandro Tonali, and I can see him slotting into this midfield 3 alongside them 2, which would be incredible. But I think Sean will get the start. You know, the pressure's on Sean this season. I know we know when Sean is at it, he's a workhorse. I call him Sean Longstaff. You know, and he just runs up and down non-stop. But he's under pressure because Sandro Tonali is chomping at his heels to get back into the side after a year out of football. Louis Miley's going to come back from fitness as well in September. Louis Miley looked great last season. And I think when Sandro comes back, if he comes back strong, I think Sean will struggle getting to the team. Joe Willock will want to get into this team as well. And then when Louis Miley's back fit, I think he will also want to get back into the first team picture. So Sean could really find himself down the pecking order. So he needs a strong start to stay in this lineup. And hopefully the Sean Longstaff that helped drag us to, the cup final in the Carabao Cup can be the one that rocks up at the weekend and, he'll put in a good performance. But Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton is huge in that midfield. These two are key to what we're going to do this season. And if they both stay fit and they both play the way we know they can play, we've got two of the best midfielders in the league, hands down. That's not hyperbole, that's fact. These two are incredible. These two would get into a lot of the top four sides. I really do believe that. They might not start every week, but there would be key players. I think Bruno certainly would have a good chance of starting, for the likes of Arsenal, for the likes of Liverpool, for the likes of Spurs, for the likes of, maybe not City, but, I think these two players are incredible players and we're so lucky to have them. We just need to keep them both fit and free of injury and suspension this season, and then they will be key for us. And in the front three, I've gone for Jacob Murphy on the right-hand side. It could quite easily be Miggy Almiron. I did my video about Miggy the other day. It upset a few of you by the looks of it, but Miggy Almiron is not good enough to start in games. As an impact player, I think he can run at tired legs because he has got speed and he can cause trouble, and he might not be a bad impact player if we have to keep him in the squad. I still think we should upgrade him because there's better out there and we can get better. But I think if Miggy's going to stay in this squad, he's got to be an impact player from the bench, and then can give us some speed at tired legs, maybe one as a penalty or something like that. But Jacob Murphy is head and shoulders above Miggy Almiron on that right-hand side at the minute. Until somebody better comes in than these two, Jacob Murphy has to start. He's been in good form pre-season, and I'm sure Eddie will stick with him. Alexander Isak leading the line through the middle. He's looked sharp in pre-season. It's a big season, I think, ahead for Alexander Isak as well. I could easily see him getting 25 goals plus this season. As long as we help lighten that load on him, we don't want him to get injured and break down and everything else. We've got Wilson whenever he comes back. We've got Usala. So we've got a couple of options there where we could rest Isak for some cup games and things like that and maybe get more out of him in the Premier League. But we don't have European football this season. So this might help keep Alexander Isak fitter for longer, one game a week. For a long period of time, we could see a lot of impact from Alexander Isak. He's definitely one of the most feared centre forwards in the Premier League. Outside of Erling Haaland, I think he's the best goal scorer in the Premier League. Anthony Gordon on the left-hand side. Still some talk about Gordon in Liverpool. I think it's bullshit. I don't think the lad wants to go anywhere. I think he wants to stay at the football club. He had a great season last season, criminally underused in the European Championships. And for me, Anthony Gordon is going to start this game, and I think he'll have a huge impact running at that Southampton backline. So that's a strong side, despite any signings coming in. Obviously, we would love to have seen Mark Gahey in that backline, and maybe a new right winger, but hopefully Newcastle can wrap them up before the end of the transfer window. So looking at the opposition, it's not a great deal in terms of the team news, as I say. There is some stories in here that the mainstream media are already licking their chops at. So, as you might know, Adam Lallana has gone back to Southampton, the club where he started. And the last goal he scored, I think, back in 2014, was against Newcastle. So the mainstream media were already lining this one up as Adam Lallana scoring against us on his return in a Southampton shirt. Now, Lallana's a good player, has been a good player. His powers have obviously waned a lot because he's getting a lot older, but he still is a bit of a threat. He's good on the ball. He's tidy. He'll be looking for passes. They've got Adam Armstrong, former Newcastle player as well. He'll be looking to try and make a name for himself against his old club. He's got speed. He can run off the shoulder of Adam Armstrong. He can get a goal. Last time I think he was in the Premier League, he didn't quite work for him. But obviously going back to Southampton, having a good season in the Championship and then coming back up, maybe, I think he scored the winner in the playoffs, I think his memory served it, Adam Armstrong, but maybe he's ready for another crack at the Premier League, hopefully, just not against us. And then I've got a new signing in Ben Brenton Diaz. I'm surprised Newcastle didn't look at, to be honest with you, outside of Usala at Sheffield United. At least Brenton Diaz got goals. But it looks like Brenton Diaz might pull off to the one of the wide sides and then let Armstrong go through the middle. They might interchange because Armstrong's got pace. So Southampton themselves, this is probably an easy fixture on paper for Newcastle, but you never play football on paper, do you? I think if you looked at the perfect fixture for Newcastle, it would be the lowest ranked Championship team that got promoted at home on the opening day of the season. That's exactly what we've got. So there is no excuses here for Newcastle. If they don't win this game, it won't be good enough, really, in many opinions. But I think for me, Newcastle will win this football game. I think we're going to start strong. You know, I don't know if we'll start like we did last season against Aston Villa when Tonali got his goal in his debut. I don't think it'll be a 5-1 job because I think Southampton will make it difficult for us. I think they'll sit in. I think they'll try and frustrate us. They'll make us come on to them rather than them attack us and get hit on the break. I think that's how they'll play. I think they'll be quite reserved in terms of the first 15, 20 minutes, try and take the sting out of the game, try and take the noise out of the crowd and try and frustrate us and maybe play on some of the frustrations that's in the fan base about the lack of signings and things like that. They may very well do that. But I think Newcastle will be too strong for them, I think, moving forward, and especially that front three. I mean, even with Murphy, I think Murphy's looked good in pre-season. And these are the kind of games I think Murphy can shine in. You know, Murphy against the newly promoted sides, the mid-table Premier League teams. Murphy has got ability, pace. He can make things happen. It's when you come up against the more quality players, I think Murphy is found a little bit wanting, and same with Miggy as well. That's when you need somebody who can just do a little bit of something special out of nothing. You know, when you pay 25, 30, 40 million quid for that kind of a player. And Murphy isn't that kind of player. He blows hot and cold. He's consistently inconsistent in terms of he's good for 5 games and then he's not for 5 or 6 or 7 games. That's why Jacob Murphy is Jacob Murphy, but he's a lovely lad and great character and adds to the squad. He's a good squad player. Same as Sean Longstaff's a good squad player. Same as Dan Burn. Moving forward, if we get a better centre-half, will be a good squad player. You need good squad players outside of your starting 11. We need a strong 16, and those lads can be part of that strong 16. But it shouldn't be a situation where they're starting week in, week out, because Newcastle need better quality, and that's why the transfer window is really important the next 2 weeks to get those deals done and help this squad grow, have a stronger 11. Harvey Barnes will probably be on the bench. I think Harvey Barnes, I think unfairly, he's maybe been categorized as an impact player, but he's looked shit hot in pre-season and got goals. And I think for me, Harvey Barnes could warrant a start on the left and move Gordon to the right. I could easily see that happening if Eddie Howe wants to try that. But I think knowing how he'll go Gordon left, Murphy right is probably what he'll do. But Southampton, I think, like I said, there won't be a walkover. This is them back in the big time. They want to start strong. They know it's a tough game. I like that manager. I think he plays good football. But I can see Newcastle United winning this one. I'm going to say 3-1 to Newcastle for the opening day of the season. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think about the lineup, what you think about the result. Do you think we're going to win comfortably? Do you think it's going to be a bit more of a difficult game than maybe we're anticipating? We always like to hear from you. Drop a comment. And Southampton fans, if you're watching too, drop a comment in. Let us know what you guys think. Are we overconfident? Do you think you're going to give Newcastle a hiding? We always like to hear from you. It's great dialogue and community in our chat. Nobody's abusive. And if you are, you get the flick if you're being a prick, as I always say. But if this is the kind of thing you like, guys, smash subscribe. Come and join us. Help the channel grow. Like the video. We'll be back with a post-match analysis as well after the game finishes. Until then, have a cracking week. Let's hope Newcastle United can get a couple of signings in the bag and 3 points, because that would be a great end to the week. We'll see you later, everyone. Cheers.